Hi guys, and welcome back to another Premier League prediction video. Last time, 9 games played, 2 scores correct. Palace winning 2-1 against Wolves, and Liverpool beating West Ham 1-0. So 2 good predictions there. Hoping to keep this up because I've been a bit better as of late, especially in the Premier League. So let's try and get some more correct predictions here. But before we get into them, make sure to hit the like button. Let's try and get 5 likes on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Trying to get to 200 subs by the end of the year. So if you enjoy the content and you are not yet subscribed, make sure that you hit that button. It really helps me out. And hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss any more Premier League content. Let's get into my predictions. We start off with Forest against Liverpool. And Forest haven't won in 9. Really struggling. Bottom of the league. It's not looking good for them. They're just not... They're not looking like picking up many points at all. They're really struggling to score at the moment. Liverpool are in a bit of better form. 2 1-0 victories in a row against Man City. Brilliant. And West Ham. Also very good. A lot of people after the Man City match were saying that Liverpool are back. You know, they're going to make this title race interesting now. And I was kind of expecting them then to slip up against West Ham just because I thought, you know, you'll go and lose to West Ham. Man City will win and it'll all be for nothing. But they went and got 3 points against West Ham. They managed to get the 3 points. West Ham did have quite a few moments. Had a penalty that was saved by Aston. It was a tight game. Liverpool, I don't think they're back yet. There's still a lot of work to do. But they're building the foundations correctly. And I do believe that they're not going to slip up here, which will give them even more confidence. And within the second half of the season after the World Cup, I think they really will be back. But we just have to wait and see. For now, they're playing Forest. Forest aren't picking up anything. So Liverpool to win 2-0. Everton take on Palace next. And although Everton have lost 3 in a row, I'm still not very worried about them because they were unbeaten in 6. They do tend to be worse away just from last season. They were terrible. They don't seem to be, you know, too bad at either place this season. But when they're at home, I do fancy them to get a few points. They're playing against Palace, who have won 2 out of the last 3 and are unbeaten in those 3. They beat Wolves 2-1 in midweek. But Palace are another side that perform better at home. When they're away, you know, they tend to get draws so far this season. So I'm going to go down that route. 1-1. Man City take on Brighton now. And Man City will be hoping to bounce back from that 1-0 loss against Liverpool. And I fear for Brighton in this game. Brighton aren't in the greatest of form. Since De Zerbi took over, his first game was that 3-0 against Liverpool. And it looked like a seamless transition from Potter to De Zerbi. However, 3 games in a row, no goals scored. And what worries me is the last one was at home against Forest. And they drew 0-0. And Forest are pretty awful at the moment. So I'm a little bit worried about the direction that this Brighton side are now heading in. Man City, I don't need to, you know, talk about them too much. I've ran out of superlatives. I think City again are going to win this one. Obviously they lost the last one, but this is the sort of game that they win. I think they're going to win it comfortably. So I'm going to go City to win 3-0. The big one now as Chelsea take on Man United. How's Graham Potter getting on? 4 league games in, 3 wins and a draw. So unbeaten. They did draw 0-0 with Brentford in the week. He's only played 1 home game in the league so far and they won it 3-0 against Wolves. Chelsea are looking very good under Graham Potter. Very hard to beat, hard to score against. The signs are looking good. Man United have only lost 1 out of their last 8 Premier League games, and it was that 6-3 against Man City. They're currently unbeaten in 3. They won their last one 2-0 against Spurs. Brilliant performance in the week. Man United has so many shots, so many chances. Spurs couldn't do anything. Spurs looked really poor, but Man United looked brilliant. So how's this one going to go? It's so difficult to call. I think Man United tend to pick up more points at home. I think there's something about Old Trafford where even if it's not that they're picking up more points, they always seem to be a bit more dominant at home, which you'd expect. Chelsea, again, they've been very good under Potter, home and away. But for this one, I just can't see Chelsea losing at home under Potter. But I don't think Man United are going to lose it either. So I'm going to go down the middle, spoil shared, 1-1. Villa up against Brentford now. And how's Steven Gerrard getting on? Well, he's been sacked. It was awful. It was just awful. Gerrard, they can't score a goal under him. He didn't really look like he knew what he was doing. I just don't really have many words. Just terrible. They couldn't score goals, couldn't pick up points. They've won 2 games so far this season. Lost their last game 3-0 against Fulham. And Fulham battered them. Villa were terrible. I was expecting it at least to be tight. Fulham absolutely battered them. 3-0. And that was the game that saw Steven Gerrard lose his job. I'm not surprised. He had to go. I would have loved to see him there a bit longer as a Blues fan because relegation was probably on the cards. I think they'll turn it around now. But they've still got to sort out their goal scoring issues, which seems like it's going to be a big task. Brentford are unbeaten in 2. Beat Brighton 2-0 before drawing 0-0 with Chelsea. Very good result. And Brentford are an interesting one because at home they're very strong and away they seem very hit and miss. But for this one, just because Villa are struggling to score, even though there's going to be someone else taking over, and just because Brentford away are a bit hit and miss, we're going to go down the middle, but 0-0. Leeds up against Fulham next. Jesse Marsch could be one of the next to go, as Leeds are winless in 7. Since that brilliant 3-0 win against Chelsea, they haven't won in 7 games. I'm very surprised because I remember saying, after that Chelsea game, Leeds are going to be fine this season. And all of a sudden, it's not looking too good. Fulham are doing well. They've picked up way more points than I expected. And they got a brilliant 3-0 victory over Villa in midweek. Mitrovic scored again. They were dominant. They were brilliant on the ball. After that Leeds performance at home against Arsenal, I was kind of expecting to go towards Leeds on this one. However, Fulham, very, very good against Villa. I did not expect that performance at all. And it's making me want to go in favour of the away side, which could spell trouble for Jesse Marsch. But I'm going to go Fulham to win 2-1. Southampton up against Arsenal next. And Southampton unbeaten in 2, a draw with West Ham, and a 1-0 win in the week against Bournemouth. I still think they're in a bit of trouble this season, but it's going to be tight. They've went for a very risky recruitment strategy, but if they survive this season, I think it will pay off. They've went for a lot of young players that haven't played a lot of senior football or have been out in other leagues, plying their trade and making a name for themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see where they are, after Christmas. But I think they'll survive, but it's going to be tight. Arsenal, brilliant in the league, won 9 out of 10. And last weekend, they won 1-0 against Leeds. And I apologise, Arsenal fans, if you go into a horrendous run of form now. But I'm going to say it. That game probably didn't deserve to win it. Leeds were very, very good. But you held on, got all 3 points. And that is the sign of a team that's in a title race. You pick up points when you don't deserve them or you don't particularly play too well. You get wins out of nothing. And that's exactly what Arsenal went and done. And yeah, I strongly believe that Arsenal are in a title race this season. I think if they get injuries, then they don't have the depth of a Man City. But if they can keep all their players fit, I genuinely think they've got a chance of pulling this off. And I would love to see it. I'd love to see someone else get involved. It's always Man City and Liverpool, and it's always Man City winning it. Liverpool are the only team that have been pushing them. I'm firmly behind Arsenal. I want them to do well this season, and I want them to make this title race interesting and go all the way. So good luck to Arsenal. Hopefully you can carry on your good form. And I think you're going to do it here. Arsenal to win 2-0. Wolves take on Leicester now. And these two sides are both sitting in the relegation zone. Wolves lost 4 out of their last 5 matches. And in midweek, a 2-1 loss to Palace. Leicester have only lost 1 out of their last 4. So a bit of better form from them. Winning 2 of the 4. And they beat Leeds 2-0 in midweek. This one is a tight one because Wolves don't score too many. Leicester tend to score a few but can't really defend. I'm going to call it down the middle. 1-1. A really interesting game here. Spurs against Newcastle. Spurs were very poor in midweek, losing 2-0 against Man United. And it wasn't just a loss. They looked lost. They were so poor with the ball, didn't create too many chances. Man United battered them. Spurs were lucky that it was only 2-0. They have, however, won all 5 of their home games so far this season. So very, very strong at home. Newcastle have only lost 1 game all season. And they're in pretty good form, winning 3 out of their last 4. And they won in midweek 1-0 against Everton. I'm going to go all out on the line here, and it's probably a stupid move. Newcastle are so hard to beat that I don't think Spurs are going to win this one. And I'm actually going to flip it. I know St. Maximin and Isaac haven't been playing. I'm guessing they're still injured for this one. But this Newcastle side, I'm seeing a lot of togetherness about them. Almiron is in brilliant form. I'm going to go Newcastle to win 2-1. West Ham take on Bournemouth in our final game on Monday night. And I sincerely apologise to any Bournemouth fans watching because you were unbeaten in 6 games. I hadn't backed you to win a game all season. I backed you in midweek to beat Southampton and you lost 1-0. I can't help but feel like I cursed you. And I just didn't see it coming because Southampton were in bad form. Bournemouth, very good form, hard to beat. But yeah, I'll try my best not to back you from now on. West Ham are in pretty decent form. They were unbeaten in 3 with 2 wins. They lost in midweek 1-0 against Liverpool, but were quite unlucky. Had a penalty saved, created some chances. Milner with a brilliant block towards the end to stop an almost certain goal. You know, West Ham created chances there and really took the game to Liverpool. So a bit difficult, you know, to take a loss there. but they played very well. The performance was there. They just didn't get any points. They weren't clinical enough. But I don't fear about this West Ham side. They were very poor in the first few weeks, but I feel like they're slowly starting to get into a rhythm again. Skamaka has been pretty good, scoring quite a few goals. So yeah, hopefully for West Ham, they can continue to push on and try and challenge for those European places like they have done over the past few seasons. Now for this one, I'm going to go with the home side. So Bournemouth, you might be in for some points. West Ham to win 1-0. And those are my predictions for this round's Premier League fixtures. Make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any more Premier League content. Also, make sure to get your predictions down in the comments. I'll leave a fixture list in the description. Just copy and paste it into the comments, fill in your scores, and we'll see how you get on.